Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inkspirations. Thank you for joining me today. I have several cards to share with you that I created using the Wisteria Wishes Bundle from Stampin Up. And this bundle is featured in the Stampin Up 2022 to 2023 annual catalog. As you can see, there are lovely floral images that you can use in a variety of ways. I will show you the stamp set. Here is what it looks like, the Wisteria Wishes. And as always, I will show you the stamped out images in different colors because that's just what I like to do. I like to get the stamp set and stamp it out using several colors so I can just kind of get more of a feel for the stamp set, the colors that will work well, the colors that might not work so well. And this is a photopolymer stamp set, which means the stamps are clear and they do fit on the acrylic blocks. And it's also a distinctive stamp set. And what that means is that when you stamp the images, you will see areas of darker and lighter color. That technique that they use to make the stamps just gives your image more depth and dimension. Now this does have 10 stamps. There are 5 images and 5 sentiments. There is "To a Friend Who's All Kinds of Wonderful," "Hang in There," "Happiness Grows Within," "Faith is About Trusting," "Even When You Don't Understand." So there are some good greetings there to put on the outside and then also on the inside of your cards. So then there are coordinating dies, and here they are, and there are 8 of them, and here they are all cut. And as you can see, each image has a coordinating die. This image will be die cut with this. And here's a die that will cut out this image, and this one is for this one, and this one is for this one. Now this one does not have a die because this is a stamp that you can use to add some different colors, some dimension, and depth to your wisteria flowers. But then we have these dies that are left over. So this is a really neat one. I like it. It makes like a vine. And I think you could find maybe some other uses for that as well. And then there are these 2 die cuts that you can layer to make the wisteria flowers. And here is a die with, it's the vine and leaves, and the leaves have a whole lot of detail. So I will show you some cards that I made using all of these, the dies and the stamps. That's the Wisteria Wishes Bundle. And here is a card I made simply stamping. I just stamped this image and then lined this image up with the vines that were hanging down and stamped it. And then I took this image and used a little bit darker ink. The lighter is Highland Heather, the darker is Gorgeous Grape. And I just stamped this image right over those for more depth and dimension. A very, very simple card, but I thought it was very pretty. So the next one is basically very much like this one. It's the same images, but instead of stamping them directly onto the card panel, I stamped them on some basic white cardstock and die cut them and then adhered them to the card base with some dimensionals. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat yet again. It seems to happen all the time these days. There are a lot of allergens in the air where I live, and people are mowing hay and baling hay, and just makes the air even more full of all those fun things that make people have allergies. But anyway, here is this card. And then this card is a little different. It's the same image, the flowers that I used for here. I just flipped it around the other direction. I just flipped it. And then I used these images as stems for the flowers. And then for this card, it is simply die cuts with the exception of the greeting. So I used for that, let me get my little dies here. I used these two and this. You cut out, I die cut 2 of these, 6 of these, 2 of each color, and then 1 of these at the vine, and I cut it also in the garden green. And I just adhered the vine there, and then these are sort of loose. I just kind of put a little of liquid glue on the very end to hold it in place, and then these are put on with dimensionals. And then for something a little different, I used this image and this image for evergreen trees. And I just made a little Christmas card. I just did a little blending brush to get a little blue on there for sky and some shadows on the snow. I used a little bit of, I think it was Pool Party and Smoky Slate to make the hill, and then I went over it with the color lifter, the Stampin' Blends. But there is a card in the Stampin' Up catalog I will show you. They did basically somewhat the same thing, only instead of just stamping directly on to the card panel, they used die cuts, and that is on page 167 of the annual catalog, and it's right here. And I just thought that was a really cute idea. Another way to use the images in the Wisteria Wishes stamp set. Like I say, those are just die cuts. A little bit of designer series paper for a background. So that is the bundle. That's some cards I made, and I know I went through that a little quick on the quick side, but I will show you how I did a couple of things, which I'm sure you've all figured it out already. But as I said, this one, I just flipped the wisteria so it's pointing up and used this image for stems for the flowers. But honestly, you could have them hanging down, more like wisteria that's hanging. If you didn't like that, there you go. There's your flowers on stems. And now I told you, I believe, that I stamped this image and then used this image to add some more color and depth to the stamping for the floral images. And I'll show you how I did that. It's really, well, I thought I would, but maybe I've lost my paper. Oh, here it is. So I've already stamped this image, and then we're going to just take some Highland Heather and the 3 clusters of wisteria. And what I did, I stamped off because it was just a little dark. And then we just line these up. You can see through this because it's photopolymer, so you can see where those little green stems are hanging, and you can just line it right up and stamp. And then we'll take some gorgeous grape to add a little more color. And we'll take this stamp. And again, I'm going to stamp off. So there you go. That is how I did that. So again, this is the Wisteria Wishes Bundle that is in the current annual catalog. These are the cards. Now, on my blog, I do have a coordinating blog post that goes along with this video, and that is where you will find all the measurements and a supply list for these cards. You'll find more information about the bundle, and in the description of this video there is a link to that particular blog post. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, stamp happy!